There is a kind of feminine energy that doesn't just attract. It lingers, it haunts, it wraps itself around a man's thoughts long after you've gone. It's not about beauty, charm, or perfection, but about something far rarer, an inner force so magnetic that few women ever tap into it. The magnetic pull of authentic presence is not about performing, embellishing, or striving to be noticed. It is about the way energy naturally radiates from someone who is deeply connected to themselves. When a woman carries herself in a way that says, without words, "I am enough exactly as I am," there is a stillness about her that feels both soothing and captivating. She does not chase validation or scramble to prove her worth. Instead, she exists in the moment fully, her attention not scattered by the need to be somewhere else or someone else. This groundedness communicates a rare sense of self-possession, and it's this quiet self-possession that often stirs fascination in others. The allure of authentic presence lies in how it makes people feel when they are around it. It's not about impressing with grand gestures, but about creating a space where others feel more themselves in your company. When you are fully present, listening without mentally preparing your next response, looking without judging, speaking without the need to dominate, you create a subtle gravitational pull. People, consciously or unconsciously, want to return to that feeling because it stands in stark contrast to the hurried, distracted interactions that dominate modern life. Authentic presence is rooted in awareness of your own body, your breath, your emotions, and the atmosphere of the moment. A woman who masters this does not allow her mind to be pulled endlessly into past regrets or future anxieties. She resides here, now, with a softness that is not weakness, but strength disguised in gentleness. It is this quality that can make the simple act of her entering a room feel like a shift in the environment. Her movements are unhurried, not because she seeks to appear mysterious, but because she has no need to rush away from herself. She meets the gaze of another, not to measure their reaction, but to share a silent acknowledgement of existence. This is the type of presence that turns the ordinary into something quietly extraordinary. In a world where so many people wear masks calculated to elicit approval or admiration, authentic presence becomes rare enough to be magnetic. It cannot be convincingly faked because it is not a set of learned gestures. It is the byproduct of inner alignment, where thoughts, feelings, and actions are in harmony. People sense when someone is genuinely comfortable in their own skin, and that comfort is contagious. It gives permission for others to drop their own pretenses, if only for a moment. This is why authentic presence is so powerful. It is not just a personal quality, but a gift you extend to those you interact with. In relationships, this kind of presence becomes almost intoxicating because it creates a sense of emotional safety. When someone knows you will meet them with your full attention, without pretense or hidden agenda, they can relax into being themselves. That relaxation often turns into attachment because it is such a relief from the guarded, half-present interactions they experience elsewhere. Authentic presence also commands attention without demanding it. It does not compete with noise, it silences it. People lean in, sometimes without realizing why, simply because they want to feel more of the calm, centered energy you emit. It is the opposite of chasing. It is allowing. And this allowing is where its power resides. The woman who masters this energy is not in a hurry to be seen. And paradoxically, she is the one who is remembered. Her impact lingers, not because she overwhelmed the senses, but because she left space for the other person to feel seen and significant in her presence. This is the magnetic quality that cannot be scripted or rehearsed. It emerges naturally from a deep relationship with oneself, and once experienced, it is never forgotten. Emotional alchemy is the rare ability to take the raw material of your inner world, whether it is joy, sorrow, uncertainty, or even fear, and transform it into something that deepens connection instead of creating distance. It is the art of feeling deeply without letting those feelings spiral into chaos, and of expressing emotions in a way that invites others closer rather than pushing them away. A woman who embodies this gift understands that emotions are not something to be suppressed, hidden, or used as weapons. They are currents of energy that can either flood a relationship with confusion or nourish it with intimacy. This is not about pretending to be endlessly calm or cheerful, but about having the inner strength to sit with a feeling, examine it, and choose how to share it in a way that strengthens rather than erodes trust. When someone experiences your emotions filtered through self-awareness rather than raw reactivity, they feel safe. Safety in emotional expression is magnetic because it contrasts so sharply with the instability that often comes from unchecked feelings. Imagine the difference between someone erupting in anger without context and someone calmly naming the frustration, expressing it with clarity, and allowing space for understanding. The latter does not diminish the intensity of the feeling. Instead, it channels it into a form that fosters connection. This is the essence of emotional alchemy, taking what could be destructive and reshaping it into something constructive. This ability also means understanding that emotions, when expressed authentically, can draw others deeper into your world. Sharing joy without arrogance, sadness without self-pity, and vulnerability without manipulation creates a resonance that people feel in their own bodies. It stirs their own emotions, their own memories, their own longings. And when you can awaken those inner currents in another person, you are not just interacting on a surface level, you are shaping an unspoken bond. That bond becomes a form of emotional intimacy that lingers even when you are apart. Emotional alchemy is also about discernment, knowing which feelings to share fully, which to express partially, and which to process privately. This selectivity is not about secrecy, but about wisdom. Not every fleeting emotion needs to be spilled out. Some are better transformed within you before they are brought to another. This creates a sense of stability, where others know they will not be engulfed by your storms, but will still be invited into your most meaningful truths. It is in this balance between openness and restraint that emotional magnetism is born. A woman who practices emotional alchemy can turn moments of tension into opportunities for greater closeness. Instead of reacting impulsively, she pauses, reflects, and chooses words or actions that guide the energy toward resolution. This does not mean suppressing her truth. It means delivering it in a way that allows the other person to truly hear it, rather than defend themselves against it. Over time, this creates an almost addictive form of connection, because the other person learns that conflict does not have to mean disconnection. It can mean a deeper understanding of each other. In the same way, her joy becomes infectious not because it is loud, but because it is sincere. She does not pretend to be happy for the sake of appearances, nor does she mask her delight with self-consciousness. Instead, she lets her joy spill into the space between her and another, drawing them into the moment as if they were a part of the source of that happiness. This makes the experience feel shared, and shared emotion is one of the strongest bonding forces in human relationships. Through emotional alchemy, feelings become bridges rather than barriers. Each emotion, whether light or heavy, becomes an opportunity to invite another person deeper into your inner landscape, where they feel both trusted and understood. This trust becomes the soil in which obsession grows, not a shallow, fleeting fascination, but a deep, enduring pull toward the one who can turn even life's storms into something worth standing in together. The dance of receptivity and mystery is a rhythm that pulls someone in without force, a balance between allowing them to see you and leaving enough unseen to keep their curiosity alive. It is the art of opening the door just enough for another to step inside, but not so wide that the entire house is revealed in one glance. This is not about playing games or creating artificial distance. It is about recognizing that attraction thrives in the space between what is known and what is yet to be discovered. When everything about a person is revealed immediately, the mind has nowhere to wander, no puzzle to engage with, no questions left unanswered. But when openness is intertwined with a sense of depth still unexplored, fascination takes root and grows. Receptivity is the warm, inviting energy that says, "You are welcome here." It is the quality of listening with genuine interest, responding with presence, and showing that you are available for connection. It is the way your eyes soften when someone speaks, the way your body language signals openness, and the way your words leave space for another to enter the conversation fully. This makes the other person feel valued and seen, which is a powerful foundation for any attraction. Yet, without mystery, receptivity alone can lose its magnetic edge. If the entirety of your inner world is accessible too soon, the intrigue dissolves. Mystery is not coldness or withholding affection. It is the subtle suggestion that there is more to you than meets the eye. It is the feeling that even in moments of closeness, there are layers within you that remain untouched, stories yet untold, dreams yet unspoken. This sense of depth keeps the other person leaning forward, wanting to know more. It turns everyday interactions into a continuous journey of discovery rather than a quick, predictable routine. Mystery is sustained not by secrets, but by self-containment, by the understanding that your essence cannot be fully known in a single encounter or even a short span of time. The interplay between receptivity and mystery creates tension, and it is this tension that keeps desire alive. If you are only receptive, you may be easily understood and quickly categorized in someone's mind. If you are only mysterious, you may seem distant or inaccessible, which can cause a person to eventually turn away. But when the two are woven together, you become both comforting and intriguing, a safe place that still sparks curiosity. It is this combination that makes someone think about you when you are not there, wondering what you might reveal next, eager to return to the space you create together. This dance also requires self-awareness. You must know when to step forward with openness and when to step back into quiet mystery. Too much openness too soon can dilute the intrigue. Too much mystery without warmth can make you appear unreachable. The balance comes from tuning into both your own energy and the energy of the moment. Sometimes connection deepens when you reveal a vulnerable truth. Other times it strengthens when you leave a hint rather than a full explanation. Both are necessary to keep the dynamic alive and evolving. In its most powerful form, this dance does not feel calculated but natural. It is a reflection of someone who is secure enough to be warm and inviting, yet confident enough to remain whole within themselves. They do not seek to be entirely decoded because they understand that part of their beauty lies in their infinite layers. This unspoken truth, that there is always more to explore, becomes a quiet obsession in the mind of the one drawn to them. The more they experience of you, the more they sense there is still more to discover, and it is this endless unfolding that keeps them captivated. The power of self-contained desire is the ability to stand in your own fulfillment without relying on another person to complete you, a state where your happiness, purpose, and self-worth are generated from within rather than borrowed from external validation. This kind of energy is magnetic because it is rare. Most people are unconsciously seeking to be filled by someone else, projecting their emptiness outward and hoping that love or attention will patch the gaps. But when a woman is already whole in herself, her presence shifts from need to abundance, and that abundance is what draws others in. She is not desperate for affection or chasing approval, which means every interaction with her feels voluntary, free of hidden agendas, and therefore infinitely more alluring. Self-contained desire does not mean a lack of interest in others. Rather, it means that connection becomes a choice rather than a survival need. When someone's emotional stability is not dependent on the ebb and flow of another's attention, they can approach relationships from a place of genuine curiosity and joy. This independence creates a sense of lightness, where the other person feels invited into your world rather than burdened with the responsibility of sustaining it. In this way, the relationship becomes an enhancement to an already fulfilling life, not the sole source of meaning. That subtle difference changes everything about how attraction unfolds, because nothing is more compelling than being wanted without being needed. This inner fulfillment comes from knowing who you are, what you value, and what you desire, without compromising those truths in exchange for temporary approval. A self-contained woman can say no without fear of abandonment and yes without fear of losing herself. This clarity in her boundaries adds to her magnetism because it signals strength and self-respect, qualities that naturally invite admiration. People sense that she cannot be swayed by empty promises or shallow charm, and that certainty creates a challenge, one that stirs both respect and desire. Desire that is self-contained is also deeply sensual, not because it is overtly expressed, but because it radiates from a place of knowing one's own worth and pleasure. A woman who is in tune with her own joys, passions, and needs sends a quiet message. She does not need to be rescued, completed, or validated, yet she is open to sharing her fullness with someone worthy of it. This creates a dynamic where attraction is about mutual exchange, not dependency. It shifts the energy from clinging to allowing, from scarcity to abundance. And that shift is what makes her energy so intoxicating. When someone embodies this quality, they become both accessible and elusive at the same time. Accessible because they are warm, approachable, and capable of connection. Elusive because they will not compromise their self-possession to win someone over. This creates a kind of tension that fuels attraction, being close enough to feel her presence yet aware that she belongs first and foremost to herself. That awareness drives the desire to earn a place in her life, because it is clear that her world is already rich and full without outside contributions. The magnetic pull here lies in the paradox. She does not chase, yet she is not indifferent. She is open, yet she is not dependent. She desires, yet she is already fulfilled. This combination disrupts the usual dynamics of pursuit, making others want to invest more deeply to match the level of richness they sense within her. In a world where so many interactions are driven by unconscious need, the one who is whole within herself becomes unforgettable. She leaves an impression not because she demanded attention, but because her self-contained desire turned her into a source of light, one that others instinctively want to move toward, not out of obligation, but out of an irresistible pull toward her completeness. Subtle influence through non-force is the ability to shape the thoughts, feelings, and actions of others without overt control, pressure, or manipulation. It is the quiet power that works beneath the surface, the kind that moves people not because they are pushed, but because they are drawn. This kind of influence doesn't rely on raising your voice, demanding compliance, or orchestrating elaborate strategies to get what you want. Instead, it emerges from presence, tone, timing, and the way you make others feel in your company. It is persuasion without aggression, leadership without domination, and guidance without stripping the other person of their autonomy. At its core, this form of influence is deeply psychological. People rarely resist what they feel they are freely choosing. When someone feels forced, they instinctively pull back to protect their sense of agency. But when they feel inspired, seen, and respected, they often move in the direction you desire without realizing it was influenced at all. This is the art of creating an emotional environment where the choice you prefer feels like the most natural and self-directed path for them to take. It works because it honors human dignity rather than trying to overpower it. One of the most powerful tools of subtle influence is silence. While most people rush to fill space with words, a woman who is comfortable with stillness allows others to hear themselves more clearly. This space can be more persuasive than any argument because it gives room for the other person's own thoughts to lead them to the conclusion you already see. Similarly, tone and pacing matter greatly. A calm, measured voice often lands more deeply than frantic insistence because it signals certainty without the need for validation. When someone senses that you are anchored in your truth, they are more likely to trust it. Subtle influence also comes through suggestion rather than instruction. Instead of telling someone what they must do, you might offer an observation, a question, or a story that plants a seed in their mind. Seeds take root quietly. They are not imposed, but they grow. In relationships, this can look like pointing out possibilities rather than giving ultimatums, or modeling a certain behavior instead of demanding it. By living the example of what you wish to inspire, you create a mirror that invites others to reflect and perhaps align themselves with your energy. Another aspect of this non-forceful power lies in emotional attunement. When you understand the underlying motivations, fears, and desires of another person, you can frame your words and actions in a way that speaks directly to them. You are not bending yourself to please them. Rather, you are shaping your expression so it can land without resistance. This requires empathy and observation, seeing beyond what someone says into what they mean and need. People are far more open to influence when they feel truly understood. The paradox of subtle influence is that it works precisely because it does not seek to dominate. People often rebel against obvious control, but they are drawn to energy that respects their freedom. A woman who embodies this quality appears neither desperate to convince nor afraid to hold her ground. She trusts the pull of her own conviction and allows time for others to align with it. This patience amplifies her influence because it shows that she does not fear losing them if they do not comply immediately. That confidence makes her position even more compelling. Over time, the effects of this non-forceful approach become evident. Relationships shaped by subtle influence tend to be stronger because they are built on mutual respect rather than coercion. People remain close not out of obligation, but out of genuine desire, and their loyalty grows because they feel valued rather than controlled. This quiet power lingers in their minds long after the conversation ends, guiding their actions without the sting of having been pushed. And that is why it lasts far longer than dominance ever could. The aura of deep self-knowledge is the quiet yet unmistakable energy that radiates from someone who has spent time exploring their inner world, understanding their desires, their fears, their patterns, and even the shadows they might prefer to avoid. It is a presence that feels grounded, not because life is without challenges, but because the person carrying it knows who they are regardless of circumstance. When you encounter someone like this, you feel that they are not easily swayed by passing trends, emotional turbulence, or the shifting opinions of others. Their sense of self is like a deep-rooted tree. Winds may bend its branches, but the trunk remains unmoved. This stability is not born from rigidity, but from clarity, an understanding of what is negotiable and what is not, of where they can bend and where they must remain firm. Self-knowledge of this depth creates an energy of authenticity. There is no need for masks or exaggerated performances because the person is comfortable with the truth of themselves. This comfort makes their interactions straightforward, yet far from dull. Instead of playing roles to elicit approval, they engage from a place of genuine expression. Others instinctively trust this because it is rare. Most people are subtly adjusting themselves to fit expectations, which makes the presence of someone unapologetically themselves both refreshing and intriguing. This aura also communicates that such a person has explored their own vulnerabilities and is not afraid to face them. They do not project blame onto others when confronted with their flaws, nor do they collapse into shame. Instead, they integrate these aspects into a fuller picture of themselves, which gives them an emotional resilience that is deeply attractive. Being around someone who is at peace with their imperfections makes you feel safer to acknowledge your own. This safety builds a powerful bond because it allows for deeper honesty without the fear of judgment or rejection. Another reason deep self-knowledge captivates is that it hints at infinite layers. A person who knows themselves well is aware of their depth, but they also understand that their inner world is not something to be handed over all at once. They reveal themselves with intention, allowing others to discover them piece by piece, which sustains curiosity and emotional investment. This slow unfolding is not a tactic, it's a natural extension of valuing their own complexity. Others sense that there is more to learn, more to uncover, more to experience, and that ongoing mystery becomes a source of fascination. Such self-awareness also strengthens boundaries in a way that is neither harsh nor defensive. When you know who you are and what matters to you, it becomes easier to say no without hostility and yes without hesitation. Boundaries delivered from this place are received differently because they are not rooted in fear or control, but in self-respect. This makes interactions smoother, reduces unnecessary conflict, and increases the quality of connection because each side knows where they stand. In romantic dynamics, this is magnetic because it signals that the person will not be swallowed by the relationship. They will remain whole, which paradoxically makes others want to get closer. The aura of deep self-knowledge is also alluring because it suggests mastery over emotional states. While no one is immune to strong feelings, someone with this awareness can navigate them without becoming consumed. They can express passion without losing their center, listen without becoming defensive, and respond rather than react. This steadiness in the midst of emotional currents feels rare and valuable, and it draws people in because it offers both excitement and safety in equal measure. Ultimately, this kind of presence lingers in the mind because it defies easy definition. It is the quiet knowing that you are in the presence of someone who has traveled inward, faced themselves, and returned whole. That journey leaves a mark on the way they walk, speak, and look at the world. And it is that unshakable authenticity that turns a passing attraction into a lasting, almost obsessive pull. The secret to the feminine energy that obsesses a man is not a single quality, but a symphony of presence, emotional mastery, mystery, self-contained desire, gentle influence, and deep self-knowledge. Each element feeds into the other, creating a rare energy that cannot be faked or forced. It is an inner alignment that makes you radiant without effort, influential without control, and unforgettable without trying to be remembered. When you cultivate this essence, you stop chasing attention, because the kind of connection you draw becomes inevitable.